All right.
Hi,
You ready?
we're doing puppy share time.
Happy share
Jeremy,
time. I think that's the
Jeremy,
best way to start off the podcast.
come here.
Yours is so much smaller.
Up, up, up. Come here. Come here. Jeremy, up. Let's go.
Oh.
Oh, come here, baby.
Dogs galore. Mango's doing this thing where he just like, he's a little bit. Wait, let me take a picture. Hold on. Hold up.
Call
Mango.
them, and so they can look straight at you.
Great. Puppies. Puppy, 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 puppy. Ah! Okay, got it.
You got it?
Got it.
Got my big ears.
Mango.
Got my satellite ears.
And then the kitty. Mango said, start the podcast. I think that's a perfect way to start the podcast. Podcast. Okay.
We'll also
Welcome
be on.
to episode 8 of Sobriety Seven podcast. Today I have with me the none other Jennifer.
Woo!
That was a sick
Let's go. Hoo, 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 hoo.
13 months of sobriety. So we're going to get to the ins, to the outs of all of it. But even more importantly, we're going to talk about life, right? And our journey through sobriety and where we're both at now. 1 year club. Woo, woo, woo. I love it. So,
Real shit, okay?
all the realest shit. So, we have so many things we want to talk about, but I guess first unravel just kind of what we just discussed about after the year, the 1 year around the sun, the cycles that you've went through in life. Now, it's not as much of a celebration at 13, 14, 15 months. It's just I did it. I did the damn thing. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Um, so like at the beginning, you're like, okay, I made it to 30 days and I made it to 90 days and I made it to 6 months. And like you really look forward to those milestones. And then after a year, it's like, holy fuck, I fucking made a year. Holy shit. Like that's something that I never thought was doable ever.
Yeah.
Something that was a goal of mine for the last 20 years. And you make it to the year point, and after that, it's like, you know what? I'm just a non-drinker. This is my lifestyle now. I have my go-tos, I have a routine, and I just know that I am too actually busy to drink nowadays. I don't even have time in my schedule because I have meaningful time. We only have 16 hours in a day.
Hmm.
So I want to use those minutes and those hours for my purpose and my hustle on,
Yep.
and what matters the most. I've wasted too many hours, days, years on alcohol. And moving forward, I just don't have time for it.
Hell yeah. Now, early sobriety, what, how did your relationships change, right? Because you went from being the party girl, everybody was like, Jen, let's get fucked up, right? To I'm responsible with my life. I'm a better wife, a better mom, a better business owner. How did that transition feel? Where were you at mentally, right? Like, were you sad? Were you losing friends? Did you, isolate a little bit? Like, what did early sobriety look like for you?
It was uncomfortable.
Right.
If if you could sum it up in one word, it's uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Because you've been in this habit and routine and using this vice to deal with everything, your emotions, how to deal with yourself, and you're stuck in this abuse cycle, um, that you're like, who am I without alcohol?
Right.
And it's scary, it's uncomfortable because you have to actually work and build that relationship with yourself again.
Hmm.
And so at the beginning, I was just focusing literally on one day at a time. I was just like, hey, my non-negotiable for my goal today is just not to drink and whatever else. And then it became, okay, my non-negotiable today is not to drink and get one journal in. And I just started writing. And it started peeling back the layers of the onion, and I started to understand my thought process. I started to understand why Jen did things the way she did. And ultimately, I had to forgive myself for a lot of years of abuse that I've done and a lot of the negative talk. At the end of the day, I really hated myself, and I um was never taught how to love myself, which is weird. Like you go to school, you go to college, you get everything like math, English. They
Yeah.
don't teach you the basics of how to treat yourself good.
Hmm.
Nobody told me about affirmations. Oh, you need to like teach yourself and say, I love myself. I'm beautiful. I'm hot.
I'm hot at hotmail.com.
Nobody
Absolutely.
taught me.
Do you think that that's the importance of journaling early on in sobriety is to, reflect, to be able to look back because feelings are fleeting? Like you don't feel the same way now that you did at month 2 or 3.
No. It unlocked shit in my subconscious that I forgot about. There was literally years that I forgot about or suppressed. I don't really know the scientific what happened, but there was a lot of stuff that I just kind of pushed aside, and never thought about or and that's the shit that I think I was ultimately running from, and alcohol was just one of my vices. Like I had many vices because I was, going after that dopamine, what makes me happy, fake shit. Um Now I'm striving for that dopamine of the healthy ways. Um it's a trip. It truly, truly is a trip at the end of the day of how strong our mind is.
It is. Our brains are powerful. That's why I'm always like, the guy who says he can't and the guy who says he can are both usually right. Because if you're telling yourself you can't do some shit, you're gonna block yourself from the possibilities, or the, potential that you can do it. But if you're to break past that barrier, like, you know what, maybe am not gonna be successful right away, but I'm gonna try. And then when I, have a failed attempt, I'm gonna try again and try again. Because when we give up just because we simply weren't successful the first time, we lose out on a whole world of, living outside your comfort zone and growth. And when you were talking about the subconscious mind, it kind of made me think of Inside Out too, because I'm 12 in here where it matters. And all the unimportant memories or the moments where Riley was embarrassed or Riley said or did something that wasn't good, Joy pulled that little lever and pushed it back to the subconscious mind. But then at the end of the movie, they like get the TNT and that wall breaks down. So all the subconscious thoughts flow into the stream of thought. And then Riley's like, oh my gosh, my new sense of self. Like I am all those embarrassing times. I am all those things that I did, that were stupid. Like this creates who I am because you can't undo what's already been done, but it doesn't necessarily define you as a person, right? Like I'm not all the times I passed out on people's lawns. I'm not all the, horrible things I said to friends or family members or my mom. Poor woman, man. I've said some heartless things to that girl. But, those subconscious thoughts, they do get unlocked when you journal because you are asked a specific question in those journals. And then it really makes you think and reflect because you want to be able to answer it. It's like, well, why do you not deserve to be happy? And you're like, I do deserve to be happy. What the fuck? Well, if I think about it, right? And then your mind starts to work again. And what we did with alcohol is we just shut it off for so long. We shut our minds off and the ability to be able to think freely. So it's a trip, but I love looking back at my old journals. And I know a lot of girls in the beginning are very hesitant to start it. Right? Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to journal. I don't know. I'm like, just fucking do it. Just fucking
Just
do
trust the process.
it.
It's for a reason. A lot of people, it's that limiting beliefs. It's almost like they're self-sabotaging their success, because of what they tell themselves. And you can do hard things. It's not easy, it's worth it. And you know, you get stuck in that victim mentality. And looking back, like when I was a drinker, I was like, well, I work hard so I can party harder. Like that was my mentality. So I would work, 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 grind. I was super successful. Like I became the top of my career, and nobody knew how I felt about myself because from the outside, Everybody thought I had the perfect life, but from the inside, I was a freaking mess. And you know, it was all about my self-talk. And when I started journaling, you think I was like, holy shit, I was stuck in that victim mentality. But looking back, I never thought I was a victim, but I had that victim mentality. Then I started journaling and some shit that was coming forward, and all of a sudden it's like I'm like ripping through the paper. I'm like, I'm so angry. And I like stepped back and I was like, whoa, like I never considered myself an angry person. I have a lot of fucking anger. Where did this come from? Oh, because I suppressed it. I was running from the anger too because I was so stuck on how would people perceive me. And I was so stuck on, having to look perfect from the outside that I lied to myself of how I was feeling to protect myself. Because I don't think anger is a bad emotion. I think anger is a healthy emotion. And I'm allowed to be angry. And I had every reason to be angry. But what happened is that anger, I took it out on myself, suppressed it, and then my vices came into play.
Yeah.
And then when I was really able to forgive myself fully and, you know, make those lessons in life that I actually considered weren't my fault, but I was so trained as a young girl that, bad things happen and you just move on with your life and you just sweep it underneath the rug and you go forward and nobody from the outside can know because it's family secrets and all that shit. So I, took that into my adulthood and it feels good to be free and be transparent and honest. And at the beginning, you know, I said, I have to be selfish for Jen for once. I'm not here to please my friends because not only alcohol, I put my friends first because I had this image to keep up with. And I said, whoever wants to be around in my life, I'm not going to reach out to people. I'm just going to focus on one day at a time. Whoever wants to come around and give me love and support, totally cool. But I'm not going to go out of my way and I'm literally going to focus on me right now and whatever I feel comfortable with because at the beginning, it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable, you're overwhelmed, a lot of people around you, you have people at a party. Sometimes I had to skip out on the parties or I had to say, I'm not really ready for that in my sobriety. So I'm just gonna skip out on tonight, or I'd tell my husband, you can go, I'm gonna stay back. So I had to sacrifice some things just to get into a spot where I felt confident enough to be in those hard situations. And now I just I just know what I need to do when I'm around a lot of people and there's a lot of alcohol. I know what to do because I have my routine of my Coke Zero or Diet Zero with extra cherries. That's what literally saved my life. So
Yours was Diet Coke and cherries, and mine was Shirley Temples. Somebody was asking me this today on Instagram, like, how did you have sugar cravings? I'm like a motherfucker. Like, I had them so bad. But yeah, you're saying that anger isn't a bad emotion. I saw a guy specifically take people from the audience and give them, emotions, right? Like, you're happy. Like, it was a person, you're happy, your sadness, your anger, your, just like the movie, talks about. But he's like, using actual people and he's like, okay, it's like imagine you are seeing these two people and you're like, oh yeah, joy, enthusiasm, like come on in, like so much fun, like, and then he's looking at these other people who are like real humans in real life and he's like, sadness, anger, and all. He's like, ah, get the fuck out of here. Like, he was like, leave. But anger fuels you, you get a lot done with anger. I'm not saying, voluntarily choose to be angry, but when I was angry enough, I was mad. I was mad at alcohol. I was mad at alcohol that it took my father. But then again, I think, he chose it. He chose to drink it, but it's pushed down our throats so much. And you'd said something in the testimonial, drink responsibly, right? But when you look at it, it's like, okay, well, it's Christmas. Oh, and then after it's Halloween. Oh, and then it's Thanksgiving, and then it's New Year's, and then, my sister's getting married in February. Oh, and then, you know, Valentine's
birthday.
Valentine's Day, quinceanera, like you're just always have something. So these industries are like drink responsibly, but also it's like drink excessively because you're drinking at all of these get-togethers, unless you're not. And then when you're not drinking, people are like, "But why? Like, what
Yeah,
happened?"
trust you. I used to not trust people that didn't drink.
Yeah, same. I was like, you can't trust a person who doesn't.
Yeah,
It wasn't poisoning your body. I was like, what? Like, why? Like, what a fucking weirdo.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
just.
What a loser.
But then also a part of me was like, damn, that's
I
pretty.
was jealous and envy.
I'm mad. I'm mad that they can do that. And then it's like, I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be able to be a year sober. Like, I was like, I have journals literally written. Like, sorry. Yes.
Really?
I know what page it's on too. Oh, boom, right here. Go. See, this is why you have old journals because it is fun to look back and be like, wow, I was such a piece of To complete my goal to complete 75 hard, which is the Andy Frisella motherfucking CEO. I want to start there. I will do a year sober, but to even put that into writing, I don't believe I can do it. I can, I will, but I'm starting off with something small I can wrap my mind around. I couldn't even fathom. I was like, a year? What the hell? Like, what about my birthday? What about me and Lou's anniversary? And it's just like it's a slippery slope because I had been like 1 or 2 months sober, in 23 and it was June because I was sober through, my friend Julie's bachelorette party, 3 days with a bunch of other girls drinking and drugging. I was like, oh my God, like I can't be it. But I was eating strawberries the whole time. I'm like, just keep eating I was at the club with strawberries. I'm like, just eat strawberries the whole time. And then right after that, it's like watching and being influenced around them when I wasn't ready. Because I do like that you said, like, I sacrificed, and you have to sacrifice. You can't go to every little thing until you're ready. Because what ended up happening is I was like, I'm ready, or I wasn't ready, but I had no choice. I was like, but I did have a choice. But I told myself I had no choice. I have to go to my friend's bachelorette party, even though I flew to California for a wedding. It would have been fine if I said, hey, I can't do it. It's too much pressure. You guys are drinking, we're going to clubs. Like I'm trying to really focus on myself. But at the time, it was just me and me. I didn't have a community. I didn't have guidance. I didn't have a mentor. I was just like, okay, I guess I'll go and I'll eat strawberries the whole fucking weekend. And 2 weeks after that, it was me and Lou's, anniversary, and I got 2 drinks. I was like watching them drink and stuff. I'm like, maybe I can. I went back on my sobriety fucking again. And then I was like, oh, I did so good at Gecko for our anniversary. I just had 2 drinks. Like I could do this now. Like I'm better. Like, and then 2 weeks after that, I flew to Ohio and, I had a layover and that set me off. I'm like, oh my God, a layover? Are you kidding me? Like the world is against me. Victimhood mentality. And then I was like,
Go there real quick.
I'm gonna drink. And Lou wasn't there. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drink. And it was like, I got so shitty that I got lost in, Cleveland, Ohio. Couldn't find my way back to the airport. Got to the airport. Apparently got Chick-fil-A. Thought someone stole my bag, but I drunkenly ate Chick-fil-A over here. Left my bag over there. Went to the guy and was like, "Hey, like someone stole my bag." And he's like, "We have an intoxicated woman." And of course, I get mad. I'm like, "I'm not intoxicated." And then after I left him, once I found my bag, I find my way to the bar again. I'm like, "I'm gonna get a drink before I head on this plane." Cops were like, we're told to escort you onto the plane. Like, you cannot be drinking anymore. I'm like, and then I tried to bribe the person next to me to buy me alcohol and told them how sick I was. I'm like, I need alcohol, man. Like, please. He's like, I can't get in the middle of this, man. You are not supposed to be drinking. I was like, come on, it was such a dick. And then I land in Arizona for my niece's 10-year-old birthday and buy an entire bottle to myself and polish it off, and I black out at her party. And so it was that moment that I'm like, I can't control it. Maybe I had 2 drinks with my partner, but also he was heavily watching me, and I was like, okay, I feel me and alcohol didn't mix. So that was my turning point. I was like, I just can't do it. I cannot moderate. And I also early in my sobriety cannot be at bachelorette parties. I can't be at freaking all these get-togethers. So for 2 months I didn't go out. I didn't celebrate Christmas. I didn't celebrate New Year's. I didn't celebrate Halloween. I did celebrate Thanksgiving. But like I did not celebrate anything. I didn't go out because I couldn't. And I just knew at this point, I'm like, I need to have more momentum. I need to get past that 3-month hurdle because that's always where I fucked up. It was 3 months. I was like, all right, once you get past that, you'll be able
Yeah.
to be okay. And then I did. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, if I would have just sacrificed more and stopped telling myself I have to be at my neighbor's Halloween party, I have to go and see my family for Thanksgiving. You don't have to do anything. You don't.
No,
But you convince
I
yourself that you do and that the world is going to hate you. If the world hates you because you're trying to focus on your health, fuck them. Like respectfully, but like honestly, like fuck you. Like I'm trying to not die. And if I continue drinking, maybe you don't understand the severity of it, but if I keep drinking, it's going to be the end of me. Like I really believed that at one point. I was like this is like mentally fucking me up so bad.
FOMO was a huge part of my spiral because I felt like I couldn't say no. I said yes to everything, to every event. I made it happen. I drug my kids and my husband around because I'm like, we have to do this, we have to do that. Our weekends were filled of, oh, let's go over to mommy's friend's house and get shit faced and let the kids just play with, with the other parents' kids and we'll just party and not they don't know what's going on when they fucking knew what was going on,
Mhm.
you know. Um, I remember when I was 18 years old and I was a huge stoner too, growing up. It was all it was weed. If I could get my hands on it, I was doing it. And but weed was definitely a comfort thing for me too, and it was a routine. I realized a lot of my stuff I was in a routine with how I did certain things. So, 18 years old, I had gone in a fight with a family member, and they said, Jen, you're not going to be anything in life. You're just going to be a stoner. You're not going to make anything for yourself. And I was fucking pissed. I was pissed. But what I did is I was stuck in my head because all I heard was those words, you're not going to do anything. You're just going to be a fucking loser. I was determined to be a fucking stoner that had a degree.
Mhm.
Okay. So I used those words and that's what I fucking did just to give them the big fucking middle finger when I got my, not just one, I got 2 degrees. And I said, I fucking did it, you know?
Mhm.
I remember at the beginning of my sobriety journey and I asked my husband, I'm like, hey, do you think like I can stay sober, you know? And he goes, honestly, Jen, I don't, probably not. And he was just had an honest opinion because he's known me my whole drinking career, my whole spiral and vices and all that good stuff. So I used that. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker thinks I can't fucking do it, huh? I'm gonna prove him wrong. And that was a big motivation because at the end, I embarrassed the crap out of him. It was so bad. My last drinking day was at a wedding and we were pre-partying. We get to the wedding. I'm already feeling good. I totally read this wedding wrong. I thought it was going to be a freaking big party because it was with my party friends. We show up. It's like a whole Christian sermon. The pastor's going to save our lives and everything. And I'm like, whoa, I'm like in this hooker red dress. I was looking hot, had red lipstick on, and I felt completely out of way. So what did or
Out of sorts.
I yeah, I felt like not, I was like, fuck, I read this wrong. So what did I do? I'm like, it was at a winery. Where's the wine? Once they walked down the aisle, we went straight to the bar and I was like doing that. And there was a lot of people there that I grew up with that I hadn't seen in a long time. So that was extra pressure and of that whole of feeling accepted.
Mhm.
I've got the same feeling as high school or middle school. I just wanted to feel accepted.
Yeah.
And by the end of the night, I felt like I had everything under control.
Mhm.
And I told some grandma I wanted to rape her because she was so hot. And I like turned into this different person. And I completely embarrassed my husband. And I said, well, the next day he goes, do you remember what you did? And I'm like, yeah, I was fine. He goes, And then the stories come out, and I'm like sinking into my seat. And another, Jen, do you remember telling that grandma? I'm like, oh, where, oh my gosh, what did I do? You know?
Uh,
And I felt like shit for fucking 3 weeks. I believed in my head that I had ruined that wedding. Um, it was just bad. I said, well, at least I didn't fall. He goes, oh, you fell in a bush. Like, I fell in a bush. I don't even remember that.
yeah.
So, that's when I was like, obviously, I have no control, even though my brain at the time when I was drinking, I felt like I was doing so good and I was in complete control and I was the fun person. And so it took me about 2 months and I finally called the groom and bride and I was like, hey, I am so sorry about your wedding. And they're like, what are you talking about, Jen? We had a great time with you. I'm like, oh, well, okay, well, I guess you didn't hear everything. So I didn't even say nothing, but I was like, well, just to let you guys know, I've been sober ever since your wedding. And they're like, oh, okay. They had absolutely no idea, but that tells you how powerful your mind can be. I was literally sick to my stomach and in bed for 3 weeks because I thought I had ruined that wedding.
Mm.
And come to find out, the bride and groom had absolutely no idea what I did. And hopefully, and I told them, I'm like, hey, to the bride, I was like, I told your grandma this. She's like, oh, it's okay. She probably understood, I was like, okay, well, I was literally physically sick thinking about I ruined your wedding for the past 2 months. So, but I told my girlfriend that, and she's like, well, maybe the sermon did save your life that day. Who the hell knows? I'm like, shit, who knows?
Something awakened your spirit, and that's a crazy thing. Like when we're drinking alcohol, like you really are so spiritually disconnected. So you do, it's like you almost have like this extra alter ego that like comes into your body and just takes over. Like, and it's just like, all right, you're gonna say and do the absolute worst things imaginable, you know? And then you poor granny, right? I did the same thing to a grandma. I didn't say that, but I mean, I took her on the dance floor and it's slippery because everyone's heels were puncturing the grass, and so the floor was wet. And I think she was like 90, took her down with me on the dance floor. We both fell. I'm like, oh my God. And that was a wedding that I took ecstasy at because I was like, I mean, how fun would that be? It's like this is somebody's most special day. Like, what are you doing? That's just insane. So, how's your mind evolved through sobriety?
Well, you know, my vice went into work full time, and um, I was just ever since I was little, I just knew that there was only so much I could control.
Right.
So, and I use that as stepping blocks. Okay, elementary school, you have your classroom. Boom, like let's try to be the best in here. Okay. Elementary or middle school. At that time, I already knew for some reason school's gonna take me far. So I fucking gotta get into just, try to do my best.
Hmm.
Try to be the top of my class, go into high school. Okay, what do I do to complete high school? I just, whatever I had control of, that's what I wanted to focus on and be the best of. And then that's when I learned how to balance school of getting A's and being the party girl and having everybody like me.
Mm.
And I had this thing of, I want to be a bad girl, uh, lifestyle, but be an A+ student. Because I felt like at that time when I was growing up, there was not there was a stigma of you couldn't be both. So I wanted to prove to people
You
that I
could.
could be both. Yeah. And then I went to college and I was still partying and I wanted to prove that I could, live in a party household and graduate college and be a stoner. Then go to dental hygiene school, be the top of my class, and still be the party girl and still graduate. And then at that time, I was like telling I was one of the youngest. I was 21 when I was in dental hygiene school, and everybody else was 30, 40s. And I was like, I want to have a sleeve of tattoos. I want to change the stigma of dental hygienists and then the workforce. And that was my next goal. So I have like a lot of tattoos, and I wanted to bring the stigma into you can be an awesome professional in your career, and you can have this visibility of the outside and still have that bad girl look. And then, um, I was trained of, okay, well, invest your money, become a homeowner. Okay, well, let's do that. So I took on that goal. Okay, what do I got to do to become a homeowner? So I reverse engineered of how to become a homeowner. So I said, okay, for me to become a homeowner, I got to do X, Y, and Z. Now let's work towards those goals. And then when I got hit X, Y, and Z, boom, I went and found a place and I bought my first house. Well, then we started the business. The business was very scary because I was in my comfort zone of dental hygiene, and I was comfortable. I was living comfortable, and I could do it on my own. I didn't need anybody. It was just me and my son. I was a single mom. I met my husband. We became married, and we were just doing it. And both of us, we always wanted to be business owners, but nobody taught us the A, B, and C how to get there.
Yeah.
I had to figure it out myself. And it took a Thanksgiving trip. I love giving back to the community. We had the fires up in Northern California. They're called the Paradise Fires, and it completely wiped out the whole town. And part of the kids, I said, hey, let's do a trip up in Paradise. I really want to show you guys what it's like to, you know, when a catastrophe happens, and good people like us, we raise money and we go up there and donate to a family. So at that time, Terrence's sister lived up there, and we were like, hey, we're doing this. They said, yeah, come stay with us so you guys can help a family. So we went up there, reconnected with that relationship, and come to find out, Terrence's brother-in-law had owned and ran a diesel shop for 40 years. And he says, why aren't you guys doing it on your own? And we're like, oh, I don't know. That's a lot, that's a big sacrifice. Like, that's really scary. Like, you know how California is. Like, it's really hard to make a business. Well, he goes, you know what? He goes, I'm gonna reach out to a couple of my clients, and I'll get you guys hooked up. Like, okay, how are we gonna do this? And I'm like, Terrence, I'm like, you're gonna still have to work your 8 to 5, and then you're gonna have to, go to the customers after work or something. So that's what he did. And I still went to my 8 to 5 and did the invoices after work. He did his 8 to 5 and fixed the trucks after work. And we slowly transitioned of what we could control into it just built. It's like a brick, every day you work towards your next goal and you just keep climbing and climbing. It takes baby steps. This didn't just happen for me overnight. This took since I had that mentality of 16 years old of how do I get to the next step? And people that, having to start from the bottom, just keep going every day, that one step, one step, one step. And it gets into your bigger goals, because it takes a lot of small goals to get to your big goals. So you don't feel overwhelmed and feel like that limiting belief, well, I'll never get there because there's too much from me to get from here to here. There's too much. Well, why don't we just go from here to here? And then here to here. And then here to here. And that's how you build a business. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
So going from the business now, we start with one truck, a piece of crap, one truck just to get us, and we're billing. I really believe in paying my bills too. Like, I enjoy paying my bills. I love paying shit on time. I love paying stuff on time. and I'll sacrifice. That's another part about, building your business. You have to sacrifice, it's not easy. Um, and I feel like your word is everything.
Yeah.
Your reputation, your resources, how you treat people. How I treated people back in middle school, I do business with now because they know how reliable I was back then to how reliable I was is now. So in this industry of diesel mechanic, and you'll find in your industry too of what you do, I don't think of other companies as competition. I see them as resources. And I will call and say, "Hey, I'm doing this. I'm Jen. How you guys doing?" And they're weird. "Oh, why is this other business calling me?" I'm like, "Hey, like I actually work with other companies. Like if I'm too slammed, I refer you. So I'll send them work their way." And that's how we build a relationship. And then I'm like, "You don't know everything." Having resources is so important in life, and how you treat people is so important in life.
Mhm.
And that's what I want to teach my kids
Yeah.
is how you treat people now, you don't know if you'll need them in the future, you know? So,
Relationships
uh,
are important.
so important. And, I always manned up when I fucked up too. I'm not afraid to say, "Hey, I fucked up. Like, I said some fucked up shit, or I'm wrong."
Mm-hmm.
Eh, You don't hear that much when I say it with my husband, but
Happen.
usually I'm always right with my husband. When it's bad, I'm like, "Hey, I'm really sorry I fucked up." But,
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to own up. And shit's not gonna go perfect in business. Shit's gonna go bad. But you know what? It's how you handle the bad situations tells your customer what type of character you are. And you know what? If you fix it and treat them right and do the right thing, karma will come back and it will always work out in your favor.
I believe in that. I believe in doing the right thing, even if you feel like, just like always do the right thing because your relationships that you build are so important. And even if lose money, lose time, lose energy, lose sleep, like, well, that's one thing I won't lose is sleep because I know I will always lead with my heart, right? And if I do something wrong, I'll say sorry. Yeah, and I like what you said about basically like referring other people businesses, business to their businesses. That's like the law of reciprocity, right? It's like they feel now heavily indebted to you, like, oh my gosh, now we got to help her out too, right? Like they almost feel like they have to, and you're not even asking. You're like, no, I'm just sending you this. Like they're almost like, why is she sending us business? So weird. And then they feel like, oh, now I want to do it. And that's in all areas of life. What I realized with relationships and business is they're a lot like our partners and a lot like our friends. Your relationship, standards should all stay the same. Oh, I'm really nice to my friend because, me and my friend have been friends for 10 years. Oh, but I'm going to be a dick to this guy because like he blah, 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 blah. Whatever the example may be. It's like, no, you treat every relationship with the same amount of respect and the same amount of care and authenticity, you're gonna go so far. I listened to a podcast of Tony Robbins and he's like, dude's got an island. Like he has so much money. And he's like, the most important thing in life to me, he's like outside Sage, right? His wife, he's like, relationships. It's like the one thing that really matters in this world. And how you treat people matters so, so, so much, right? Even if you're not trying to continue a relationship with somebody, you can let them off, with like kindness and sincerity and not be burning bridges. I remember I had a boss where I was like, you can't burn bridges. He's like, I know how to swim. I'm like, what? I stopped working for that guy, obviously. But yeah, your relationships are so important. You're such a kick-ass like businesswoman, right? And I think, through sobriety, you also like it geared you into, like you're saying, those little bricks. A lot of the time people say like, "Oh, I could never get a year sober," because they look at all this time. It's like, "All right, well, aim for for 30 days and then do 90 and then do 6 months and then do 9 months and then do before long, that gap is going to close. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, there's only, 2 more months left until my year, right? When I started this, I was only 2 days. And the same thing with business, right? Like when I started this community, I had no idea how to do a community. I had no idea. I was like, I just know I want to help people. Well, what does that look like? I don't lose like, what's your idea here? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm gonna help people.
Yeah.
That, you know, that vision got bigger and bigger as I started. Like you were one of my first people. Okay, I got Brooke. We're gonna go from here. We're gonna figure it out as we go. And then I got you, Mikhail, and Steph, and I was like, ding, 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 ding. And I was like, okay, now we have like a little family. The community is more than just Brooke and I. Brooke was so mad, by the way. She didn't want nobody to join. She's like, I hope Cheyenne fails. Low key. She
Yeah.
was, I don't want her
I'm
to.
on forever.
It was just me and her for like a month straight. It was just me and Brookie Cookie time. So she was like, and
I'm so glad you joined in.
I was so glad I had because I'm like, this is a community. There needs to be more than just you and me, Brooke. And she's like, I don't want anyone else to join. She's like, I like all of your attention. But look at Brooke now. Look at what's happened. She's gone from 0 days sober to in a healthy relationship, expecting a baby, and living her most best special life. I'm just so pumped for her.
I know. I'm so fucking happy for her.
So happy for her. I'm happy for all of us. Everyone who's in Sobriety 7, who's gone the distance and hasn't they haven't buckled and they've kept going, are in a completely different place than when they started with Sobriety 7. You,
It's beautiful to witness. It really is.
Avery, like what? All these girls are just like, and it just takes, just fucking stay committed. Whatever you have to do to stick to it, stick to it. Next question. Are you ready? What advice
I'm ready.
what advice would you give to somebody who feels like giving up on their sobriety journey? Like, did you ever in your year of sobriety feel like, I just want to like throw this all away?
Of course, when things got hard because we don't know what to do, but you can do hard things.
Yeah.
Fucking punch fear in the face, punch life in the face. But ultimately, what is your why?
Yeah.
Why are you becoming so, why are you doing this fight? And that's where I had to lean back on is why am I doing this? To be a better version of myself, to be in a really good spot, to beat depression, to beat anxiety, to beat those limiting beliefs. It was so much bigger than me, and I ultimately, like I was saying, my body is an investment. I'm not going to put poison into my body anymore. I'm not going to put marijuana into my body anymore. I want to put healthy foods. That's the next. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I still struggle. I still struggle with the food vices and sugar and hot Cheetos. Fucking love them. Why? Because it's horrible. And these beliefs is that one hot Cheeto is going to make me happy. But how can I want a six pack and put a hot Cheeto into my body? The two do not align. And so you need a blueprint. You can walk or you can talk the talk, but where you put the application is you doing the walk.
Yeah.
So you can't cry and say, I want to be a year sober, but don't want to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be fucking lazy. Just fucking do it. You can do it.
Nice.
If I can do it, I know damn well you can do it.
And if she can do it and I can do it, then anybody listening to this can do it. I'm telling you, I was shot queen. I was the annoying one. I was the one who told everybody to drink. And if they didn't drink, you're a fucking pussy. And I was so mean to people who didn't drink. I couldn't fathom the idea of other people not drinking. And then on top of that, I was always encouraging people. I was encouraging rounds and I was encouraging day drinking. I was like, come on, guys, like, let's go out, let's tan, let's get some frozen margarita popsicles, and we'll just eat like 20 of those and we'll pass out and then we'll wake up and we'll drink wine tonight. It was just such an enabler. And I remember there was a time, it was like 2020, it was right before I moved to Florida. My old roommate, her dad had passed away, my dad had passed away, and we had made a pact to stay sober. But this is the thing. This is why you need a community of people who have more time than you. Because her and I trying to keep each other sober, so fucking stupid. Because she had a bad day and I was like, you know what? Let's drink about it. And the next day we're like, fuck, you were supposed to tell me no. I'm like, yeah, but you had a hard day. Like you deserved to feel better. And we're so quick to console people with alcohol. Like, oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, let's go. I know what can make you feel better. Let's do some girl time with let's do shots on shots on shots. Like I thought me getting my friends blacked out drunk was being a good friend. Ooh,
Which is
ooh.
like,
That was
wow,
like,
imagine we were to just have a conversation like, so like what's on your mind? But that's people like that's gay. Like
yeah.
don't talk about your feelings, like, and it's like what
Like, let me take your hand. I'm gonna show you my vices so you can feel good like I do when I run away from my problems. But I have 3 minutes left because I gotta go meet up with Tiff from high school. So
well, it
I
was an
have
amazing podcast.
yes, I feel like I can just keep going and going and going too.
There's some
But
people I talk to, I'm like, I can literally like we could have like a Joe Rogan and Donald Trump 3 hour podcast. Like
our 100%.
3 hours. They had a 3 hour podcast. I'm only an hour and a half in. I'm like, oh my God, like where's the time in the day? But absolutely loved this podcast. We're gonna just have to do another one. Like I know you're a busy bee, but let's break out some more time in your schedule and let's keep doing these because not only is it, good for Sobriety Seven, right? It helps the other girls who are looking up to you. Like I know girls make sure that they're on your call because they're like, gotta hear what Jen has to say. Like I want to know. I love Jen's sex topic. Like that was so funny. Like I love that Jen. Everyone's always saying they're punching shit in the face. I'm like, oh, where did they get influenced by this? Oh, that would have been that's Jen fucking punching everything in the face. Poor TC. I hope you're not punching him in the face.
No, he would
No.
divorce. And you know what? He should if I punch him in the face because that's not self-love right there. If you keep going back, and I learned that too in that relationship. I was in a DV relationship, and you know what? It's not that's you if you keep going back to that person, not standing your ground.
Yep.
But closing out, I just wanted to I love giving credit where credit's due. And I just love you. Thank you for, investing that time with me and believing in me that I can and holding my hand through this process. And it, because you did that for me, like the whole indebted thing, I feel like it's my purpose to help somebody else that is struggling and taking them under my wing and say, hey, this is what worked for me. It might not work for you, but if you trust the process, I promise you, it will work out and everything's gonna be okay. And it's just been such a beautiful journey. And here we are, 13 motherfucking months.
Here we
And
are.
and I'm just overall, a better mother because with alcohol, it took a lot of my time away. And
Yeah.
now that I found from 13 months ago that I have more time in my day and I use it wisely and I give it to people that, fill my cup and I fill their cup, I'm able to be a better mother. I'm able to be a better wife. I'm able to be a better friend, and business owner or boss, whatever. I'm getting blown up right now by my freaking employees. They're so pissed. I don't ever get this time during the day, so this has been amazing. It's almost like I snuck away for an hour. Thank you.
Fuck is the boss? And you're like, so my 13 months and
Yes.
this and this. It was amazing. Like, get back to your employees, get back to Tiff. I love you so much. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Like, I really do admire you as a person. I admire you. I'm so happy that, I got a friend through this process too. Like, I really do consider you a really close friend of mine, and I'm very thankful to have you in my life. So, thank you.
Yes. And whoever's out there struggling, fucking punch that motherfucker in the face. Boom. Punch alcohol. Boom.
There.
Punch drugs. Boom. Punch depression. Boom. You deserve the love to yourself.
Yeah.
And whatever you've been through in life, whatever trauma, use that and use it as fuel to come out on the other side. because you deserve that.
Signing off on that note. All right. Peace out. Mwah.